Hello everyone, Poet Time Hopper here, and welcome back to the Walking Dead Randomizer Rewrite Series. We're here for episode 3. This time, it should actually be a second in a single week. I'm sorry for how long editing took last time. That was a long week. Hopefully I actually get my editing done on time, and this isn't antiquated, but I loved seeing more of your comments yet again. I am very excited, and I have a couple of your comments to actually comment on when I get to specific sections, but that is, dependent on how certain things go. I'll probably mention your comments anyway, because there are a couple of comments that link to ideas that will be shown later in this video. Anyways, we do have something to roll here yet again. In case you don't remember, last video, Leon was sent to meet up with the group so that after they finished all their scavenging and got back and brought stuff back, they could go out and do some setting up signs along the highway to warn people about the cities. Well, Leon is of course going to go, as is already stated, but he is going to have 2 minor characters sent with him, which we need to roll. I think this is the minor character wheel. Indeed it is. Let us shuffle more than I already have. Let us see who will be the first of 2 people to go with Leon. Fucking Ed? God, that's wild. Oh, I love that. Oh, this is gonna end. This is gonna be phenomenal. Oh my god, the scenes. I can already see them in my head. Okay, let's see who the second person is. Of course it's T-Dog. Oh my god. This wheel is freaking obsessed with T-Dog. It never stops. It's always... Oh my god. Yeah, this works fine. T-Dog and Leon are already friends, and the fact I have to deal with fucking Ed the entire time. Is this episode just gonna be a fucking comedy? The original episode 3 was depressing as shit. But this sounds like it might just end up being like half comedy. God, I love this. God, that's so bad. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting... That's going to lead to a very interesting part of the video. I can't stop laughing. Anyways, I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys in the story. Jesus. The Walking Dead, Episode 3, Family. The episode opens in the camp with Shane sitting next to Daryl and the radio. The 2 of them talking about maybe going on another hunting trip, because they've already almost finished the deer. Daryl groans and mentions how hard he and Merle have been working at feeding this place, and says that people should start pulling their own weight. Shane then says that he and Leon do a hell of a lot of work too, not to mention the others. He then continues saying that while having more mouths to feed is a lot of work, it also means having more people to hunt and defend the group. With that, Daryl starts to get annoyed and says that if that were true, maybe they would not be working so goddamn much for so goddamn little. Shane responds by saying, "Do you think it'd be easier out there alone? Just you and Merle?" Before Daryl can speak, the van arrives, and everyone rushes up to meet the group. Andrea comes out of her tent, hearing the commotion, seeing Amy and hugging her, glad that she's okay. We see Sophia run up to Carol, as Carol shows her the pink sweater. Sophia thanks her mom for getting it, before Ed walks over, complaining that he didn't get anything. Then Rick comes out of the car with T-Dog, to which Shane is stunned. Carl sees his father and starts to cry as he runs to hug him. Lori stares on in shock before running to hug Rick as well, crying tears of joy. Shane feels a pain in his chest, but forces a smile as Lori looks up at him in confusion. During all this, Daryl sees Merle crawling out the back of the van, and he looks beat to shit. So did T-Dog. Daryl figures that they must have fought, so he grabs Merle and takes him to the side, with Merle scowling as they walk past Leon. Shane then snaps out of his shock as Leon walks over to him and asks him what he should do about setting up the signs. Before Shane can even respond, T-Dog says that he'll help out. Leon says that he should rest, but T-Dog said that he's more than alright and could use more time away from the group. Shane then looks over them and sees Ed starting to get aggressive with Carol, but as Ed starts to raise his arm, Shane runs over and grabs it before saying, "I've already warned you before. This is your last warning. Do this again and I'll break your arm." At least then you would have a reason to be lazy. Shane then called over Leon, who'd been watching the whole thing, and says that Ed is going to help him set up the signs. Shane then walks off as Carol says thanks. With that, Leon grabs Ed and T-Dog grabs some paint, and they walk off to go paint the signs on the highway. Later that night, the group is around a campfire with Daryl and Merle off to the side. Rick describes the confusion and fear he felt waking up alone in the hospital. Lori says Shane and Leon told them that he died, and Rick responds that they had every reason to think he had. And he thanks Shane for looking after his family, saying that Leon told him everything, to which Shane and Lori shoot each other an awkward look and continue to eat. We then cut to Daryl and Merle talking. Merle says that he found out that Shane is just using them. That dumbass cop Leon spilled the beans. They both know that we've been working our asses off, breaking our backs running this place for them, and that's what they think of us. We should have robbed them when we first thought of it. We should do it now. Leave these folks in the dirt. The damn dirty bastards ain't worth a damn. Alright, everyone. So, you can probably guess what we need to roll now that we've had the conversation between Merle and Daryl. Anyways, I must say, first of all, shout out to you, Mun1TV. You saw this shit coming immediately, and I am so happy you did, because this is going to be a wild roll. I have been looking forward to this for so long. You know, ever since I first rolled Merle would not lose his hand, like 2 days before me recording this, I've been excited for it. God, that's gonna date the video. I didn't even think about that. Screw it. I'm keeping it in. I worked too dang hard on these and edited for way too long, taking out snippets like this. I'm just gonna go. Okay. So we need to roll a 4-sided die. What we're rolling for, by the way, is number 1, Merle robs the group, and Daryl comes with. Second is Merle robs the group and goes alone. Third is Daryl stops Merle from robbing the group. And fourth is Merle is convinced not to rob the group. 3. Daryl stops Merle from robbing the group. That's gonna be interesting. Daryl responds to this tirade and says that Merle is out of his goddamn mind. The group was too well armed, had 2 cops when they joined, and now they have a 3rd. They'd lose. Merle gets angry, saying, "They treat us like dogs, Daryl. We have to do something." Daryl then raises his voice a bit and says that he's not saying he likes them or even trusts them. "You can say what you want, but Shane keeps people in line. That counts for something, Merle." Merle looks at his brother with disgust before getting up. Daryl grabs Merle as he starts to walk away and says, "If you go pull something stupid, Merle, I ain't backing you up. Not this time. Be smart, brother." Merle pulls his hand away and walks off to the tent as Daryl puts out the fire. We then cut back to the main group's campfire as we see Shane talking to Carl with Rick before Lori pulls him aside, making Rick confused. Lori warns Shane to stay away from her family, and Shane asks her to stay and talk, saying that it's not what it seems. Lori turns around and says to Shane that she thinks it's exactly what it seems. She says that her husband is back and she will not have anything interfering with her family, even insinuating that she thinks Shane would rather Rick be dead, and that's why he lied. Shane says he didn't lie. Leon was there too. We both told you. But Lori smacks him and says that maybe Leon is not all that good a man either, before returning to the fire. Shane stays away from the fire afterwards, not wanting to intrude. While this conversation happens, the group asks Rick to tell them the rest about how he got here, so Rick tells everyone the story of Morgan, finally explaining how he got here, and he ends his story saying that he needs to go back into the city for a bag he left that has guns and a walkie-talkie he needs to talk to Morgan. The group says that they do need more guns, and that it's a good idea. While these things happen, Carol pulls Andrea aside and hands her the necklace from her pocket, saying that she nabbed it so that Andrea could give her sister a present for her birthday, to which Andrea smiles and thanks Carol. As Carol walks back, Andrea can faintly see Lori poking at Shane. She tries to listen in a bit, learning about what happened between them, before returning to her seat. Later that night, while everyone goes off to bed, Shane sits atop the RV, staring at Rick and Lori's tent as they go inside. His guilt over what he has done to Rick and his longing for Lori is eating away at him. Shane is then shocked to see Dale climbing up with a couple of beers. He offers one, and says he can see something's eating away at Shane. Shane brushes him off, saying it's nothing, but Dale knows it's about Lori. He doesn't push that, though. He just tells him that he's seen men carry that kind of hurt before, and says it'll eat away at him if he lets it. Shane then takes a swig of his drink and talks to Dale for a few hours. Eventually, Shane thanks Dale, as Dale finishes his drink, and climbs back down to sleep. Just after this, we see Merle sneaking out of his tent, trying to grab as much as he can while avoiding Shane's eyes and the patrols. He isn't able to get much at first, but then he has an idea. He goes up to the van to see the keys are still inside, and he opens the car and slams the hood, startling everyone awake as he runs from the car to grab more food from people's tents. Rick and Shane then get back to the car, with Shane using the back end of Dale's rifle to kill some of the walkers that appear, as Andrea and Glenn run to get the patrol. Daryl is awoken by the sounds of walkers groaning and yelling in the distance, and he knows immediately what happened. He runs out of his tent and looks around. He sees the van is still there, so Merle must be nearby. He looks around, sneaking through the trees, while Rick and Shane kill the last of the walkers with the patrol, but they realize that one of the patrolmen went missing. And Daryl then sees Merle, at the opposite end of camp from the car, holding the watchman at gunpoint. Daryl approaches his brother to try and calm him down, telling him that it's just withdrawals, he's not thinking clearly. Merle starts to point his gun at Daryl and shouts that his brother's a traitor for siding with the group over him, and Daryl says he's not a traitor, he's trying to help his brother see he's making a bad call. Merle fires a warning shot as the watchman punches him and makes a break for it. Merle then runs for the woods, and Daryl charges after him. Merle gets caught by Daryl, who tries to wrestle him to the ground, but fails, and just before Merle can knock Daryl out, T-Dog hits Merle in the back of the head with a tree branch, asking Daryl what the hell happened. Daryl then helps the group drag Merle back to the camp, with Rick handcuffing him to the RV. The group then collects at the campfire, with the kids being taken into the RV by Miranda so that the adults can talk in private. Morales is extremely pissed about what happened, as Merle could have gotten everyone killed, including his kids. Lori and Andrea are also pissed as their families were in danger as well. Shane recommends a vote on whether or not to kick Merle out of the group. The group starts to make arguments. While Andrea, Lori, and Morales are already dead set on kicking Merle out for his insane stunt, Dale and Glenn recommend they don't. Glenn because he wants to keep the group together and thinks it's wrong to throw someone out to the walkers, and Dale because he believes that everyone deserves a second chance. As more and more people start to vote to kick Merle out, Daryl starts to cry and screams out, "He's my family! Y'all are talking about defending your families by throwing him out there, but what am I supposed to do when he's mine?" Merle wakes up, hearing Daryl's speech, which makes him start to regret his actions a bit, wishing he had maybe listened to his brother's advice. Daryl continues, saying, "I know all the bad things he's done, and I know he scares y'all, and is an ass sometimes, but he's my fucking family. If we can start throwing away family, then what the hell are we even fighting on for?" While most people started with the wish to kick him out, many were moved, like Carol, who already had respected Daryl a lot beforehand, but was worried about her daughter, and Amy, who sees it as wrong despite not liking Merle. Even Rick is affected by Daryl's heartfelt speech, hoping that voting to let Merle stay is the right decision. With that, the votes are in, and Daryl, Glenn, Dale, Carol, Rick, Leon, and Amy vote to spare Merle, while Lori, Morales, Miranda, T-Dog, Ed, Jackie, and Andrea vote to remove him. This leaves Shane with a tie vote, and Shane is torn. He sees the sheer danger that Merle could be, and he wants to side with Lori to maybe smooth things over, but he also understands the pain of losing a brother. Shane does agree on one thing at the very least. This is a vote about family. Will he protect these families? The episode ends there. Hey, like the cliffhanger? I want to apologize for how late this is. I know that I really don't have any excuse, but as you can tell, probably from my voice in this section, I'm sick. Beyond that, I've just overall been busy, but let's get to the meat and potatoes of this stuff now. You've heard this whole spiel talk before. We have a lot of things to talk about before this video ends, so I should stop wasting your time. Firstly, I'll talk about the writing of this episode and some of the things I'll be setting up between episodes before I go to credits and comments and then the standard outro. Oh, excuse me. On that note, I want to start with another apology. This one for not including any of the scenes with Leon, Ed, and T Dog. Pacing wise, they just never really would have fit, and they didn't fit the overall end tone or theme of the episode super well once I was finished writing it, so I cut them. There are also some scenes between Andrea and Dale that I cut as well for pacing reasons, but thematically they fit very well, so sorry about them too. I do have what they did all written out though, so if any of you want to hear about those scenes and how they would have gone, feel free to ask in the comments down below. Secondly, in this part, I want to bring up what has contributed to the largest changes in our story so far. Well, the fact that we have more people at camp and that it was run more militaristically, for lack of a better term. Leon joining the group and helping Shane out in the early days saved way more background characters than Shane would have had on his own, as has been mentioned a couple of times in this episode, and I think once in a previous episode. Anyways, I am putting up a vote on if we will be adding 2 new characters to the minor character pool, or cutting 2 deaths off of the end of episode 4. Just because we have more background characters who can kick the bucket, I think it'd only be fair for us to be able to, add new characters or remove deaths from ones that could have happened. Anyways, I will roll. I will roll which characters are added at the start of the next episode from all of your guys' suggestions that you can write down in the comments. If 2 characters wins the poll, that is. And I should probably explain that. You guys can all comment on the bottom of this video specifically, names and backstories and shit for characters that you want me to add, and I will roll from all of the comments and all of the character names and everything on at the start of the next episode. So at the start of episode 4, you guys will know if your new characters are added or not, if they win, that is. Anyways, now for the credits and comments. Firstly, I want to thank my friend Reunite Bacon Bit on Discord for basically being like an editor. He helped me get this episode's story straightened out past the 100 ideas I had, so thank you, my friend. Secondly, at JackAttack5901, yeah, you kinda called it. If Shane makes the right decision at the start of next episode, Daryl will develop into his Season 3 self faster, with Merle also going on his own arc. If not, there'll be some other kinds of consequences, but you get it. Now lastly, in credits and comments, I must mention that I have a sponsor for this video. My friend Antonia. She made a comment on my first video that she would release some footage of me in the editing process if my first video reached 2,000 likes. Shortly after my first video was released. Recently, she said that she bets she could get enough people to watch it that it would reach that count soon. So I got cocky, and I said, I bet you couldn't even get 10 people to like the video. So we made a bet. If she won, I would have to find some way to save Nellie, one of Herschel's horses in Season 2, and call her a sponsor on this video. And if I win, I get to give that horse an on-screen death to mess with her, because she loves horses. I know it's cruel, but as you can tell from the fact that she is being mentioned here as a sponsor, I lost the bet. So any horse fans watching this video can be happy that the group will have an extra pet, at least for a little while, unless it dies. Anyways, before we fully cut off, I have to talk on a more serious note. I have been stressing on this episode for a long time because of how different it is from the original. I really want to know what you guys thought of this episode, even if all you have to say is bad stuff. I have been working so hard on this series in both writing and editing, and this episode is by far the least like its original episode counterpart of any episode I've done for this series so far. So I need feedback, as much as I can get. Anyways, with all that out of the way, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!